Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tell It with Tudy. I'm here today with Tevin Kittoe. He is an amazing podcaster too, and he has an amazing story. He's joining us from London. Hi, Tevin. How are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm very well, thank you, Tudy. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to talk to you today. It's gonna be fun. You know, guys, he has something that is super cool. It's targeting Black entrepreneurship, which I think is super important around the world. And it's a movement that is being super aware, and I love it. I think it's super cultural and super awesome. And he has a podcast. He's the creator of a podcast called 1,000 Voices. But behind that, there is a cute story that I love, and I was so fascinated by it. But I want him to talk to us about it. So his family ancestry is from Ghana, but he was born in London. So Tevin, can you tell us a little bit how was growing up in the UK?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for bringing me onto the podcast. Thank you for that warm intro. And I'm excited to speak with you as well. But yeah, so it's growing up in the UK, it's I don't know, it's hard to compare it to something else because I've been born here and grew up here my whole life. Is all I know. On my side, so I grew up in East London, in a place called Leytonstone. So if you're not from the UK, if you're not from London, you probably never heard of it, but it's in East London. I grew up there with my mum and my two younger brothers. The area itself was, you know, sort of like a typical story you might hear, maybe same in the US, like it's a lot of crime, a bit of a poorer area. But that's the sort of area I grew up in. And but although I feel that, although the area might have been all sorts of whatever happened in the area, you always sort of feel safe where you grew up because it's home. And that was home to me. That's what I knew. That's all I knew. All I knew was what I was exposed to. There was a lot of, gang stuff, a lot of crime, a lot of this, a lot of that. I didn't necessarily get involved in that side of things. Probably because my mom was very strict and it just made it difficult. Like I
guess Black mamas are just strict all over the world.
Literally. I was the kid, that I'm out of my friends. My mom is calling my phone off and I'm just embarrassed because everyone else is out. My mom's calling me and I've got to go home. And then, so I didn't get involved in too many things like that. But
pretty similar to Hispanics' mom. My mom I'm terrified of her. Don't tell her.
Well, I guess it's good in a way because it helps you to sort of stay out of trouble.
Absolutely.
Stay on the right path.
It grounds you.
Yeah, for real. So, but yeah, that's what sort of like the area was like I grew up in.
So you grew up in a very impacted area, but you saw, you have such a structured and grounded environment growing up that it kind of keeps you away and focused on what you wanted to achieve further down in life.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've always my mum. So although I didn't grow up with my dad was sort of in my life growing up, and both my parents, mum and dad, have both always encouraged me to be, encourage me to be whatever I wanted to be. Or actually, they've encouraged me. They've always told me I can do whatever I want to do. They've said you can be successful in whatever you want to do. Although they tried to steer me down those like medicine law type careers, which I didn't really want to do.
I know that one.
Yeah, which I didn't necessarily want to do, but they always told me that. And then I've always grown up believing, even until now, I've always just believed that whatever I set my mind to, I can do it. And so I guess in a way I've had sort of a vision that maybe not everybody had that same kind of vision. They might not have had the same sort of upbringing, same sort of encouragement. But I've always believed, this is where I am now is not necessarily where I'm going to end up.
Such an amazing energy is that. I think it's an amazing principle, and I applaud you for that. So for someone who's never been in the UK, how is it like? Someone like me.
The UK is cold.
Cold? It's all the time cold? No, I mean, you guys have seasons, right?
Yeah, no, it's getting a bit warmer now, actually. So we're in March. I finally starting to get a bit warmer. I feel like it's been so cold over the past few months, but it's how do I even explain the UK? It's I feel in the UK there's a culture of a lot of people not telling you what they really think or feel. So you can get a lot of fakeness I
Oh
feel.
my God. I think that's something around the world. You know, that's something so shocking to me, Tevin, coming here to America from Colombian, you know, growing up. And as Hispanics, we're very passionate, right? Very direct and outspoken. And we are raised in a culture of saying what you feel, not bottling anything up. So it could be shocking for other people because everything that our emotions are on our sleeves, put it that way. So, but the good thing about it is that you know exactly where you stand, right? Everywhere
Mm,
you go. In all types of the spectrum. If somebody doesn't like you, that person doesn't like you, you just don't entertain that energy, right?
mm,
And so on and so forth. But coming over here, it was so challenging for me because people don't say what they feel.
mm,
At no, and they just kept you in this realm of assumption or in this existence of thinking that everything is fine when it's not. Like you might be you might be in a relationship and you think that you go into ups and downs or whatever, and then you think that everything is just fine, and then the other person already broke up with you and you don't even know, right? Little things like that. So you're hanging out with your neighbor, like you saying hi, whatever, can I help you here, can I help you there, and then all of a sudden you don't even know and your neighbor hates you. It's like
mm,
people don't say what they feel. I find that, and this is a global. I mean, I think this is the pandemic. This is the real pandemic. People don't be
yeah,
honest to what they
that's
feel. How do you feel about that? Wasn't that challenging, or is it that challenging? How is people in like culturally, like in your culture, because yeah, you grew up in London, but you grew up in a family of Africans, so I'm assuming that the energy was different. How was it? How challenging was it, or going out into these environments?
well, yeah, for sure. And yeah, the environment at home is definitely very different. People, no one's hiding what they think or feel. They just tell you straight up, and
The
you just got.
same.
But I prefer that in a way because you know exactly where you stand. It
Yes.
might not always be good what you hear, but at least you know where you stand. Stepping out into the real world, I think with myself here. So I'm a person that always sort of tries to look for the best in people. I always assume the best, you know. So it's something I've had to learn over time because I've been duped or done over a few times because someone will tell me something, I just believe it because I'm trying to look for the best in them.
Yeah,
Uh, but then it
I'm guilty.
transpires down the line, yeah, transpires down the line that, oh no, wait, they weren't being real, they were being fake with me. Um, Trying to take advantage of whatever. But it's life lessons, I suppose. You just learn over time that not everybody has the best intentions, and not everybody's 100% truthful.
It's
Yeah,
challenging, right? You feel betrayed over and over again, and then you reach a point that, I mean, what is it real and what is fake? Like, am
yeah,
I in the matrix right now? I don't know when,
yeah.
what is real. I never took that pill, so what is going on here? Speaking of the matrix.
Mm.
But when you travel, do you see that people are more welcoming towards you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say I haven't traveled as much as I would like to, put it like that. So when I go to Ghana, I've been there a few times for sure. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Other than that, I haven't been traveled as much as I would like to, but I can see the difference in Ghana though. Ghana to the UK, the energy is very different. People there are a lot more friendly, I feel, and it's a lot more genuine energy and
Yes.
genuine sort of friendliness. Whereas in UK, sometimes you don't really know where people stand because someone could be friendly with you. You don't know, if it's coming from a genuine place or not.
Something that I've noticed that when you go into very capitalist cultures of first world countries, people is a little more um, arrogant, I would say, a little more proud, I would say. So their approach is a little more dry. And this is just based on my experience. People don't attack me because this is just me, my humble personal experience. Maybe you have an amazing one. I wouldn't say that I have a bad experience traveling to these big countries, but I will say that people is a little more dry. with that approach, as opposed to when I'm in countries that are not as developed. When I'm visiting countries and communities that are not developed, people is so welcome. They just welcome you in, and they just invite you to their house. Like just recently, I do some charity here and there. And I recently, within the last 6 months, I visited a family in a very impacted community in my hometown. And the energy was amazing. I brought my daughter, and I saw so much. It's like they share everything that they have. They share their memories. They share whatever food they have in their kitchen. They welcome you in. They serve you in the best dishes that they have. It's so welcoming, and it's such a warm energy, and I love it. And as like I've been in another small little town in Peru, by inside the Andes, I remember. And again, it's this small indigenous community. They were so welcoming, and they sit you in the floor, and you eat them, and they teach you how to eat their food, and it's just so involving. You go to France, and you're in France, boy. You're just in France. What do you want, girl? Okay, here's your bill, bye. Yeah, I mean, you're in Italy, the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm just giving you examples of, and I feel that we should be more warm. I think, we should be more welcoming and see each other, as inviting energies. That's the way I look at it.
Definitely.
But,
I think it's just, oh, no, sorry to cut you off.
Yes, no, please.
I'm just saying, it's just different cultures, I suppose. Like you're saying, in the global West, capitalist world, people are a lot more cold. I think, just very generally speaking, the energy is a lot more like, okay, I've got to go get it. So let me go and build and do what I got to do for me and my people, or even just for me and everybody else. Everybody else look after yourself. Whereas in other countries, developing countries or whatever you want to term them, but the energy is very different. People are more. It's more of a community. And maybe in a sense where it's like everybody's like, we're in this together. We're all in the same sort of economic situation. We're all living in similar sort of communities, and we're going to look out for our people.
Yes.
So even though they might not have as much money, they might just be more happy, And then it just goes back to like, well, is capitalism the right way forward? Do we need to be chasing money? I don't know. I haven't got the answer, but it's just different cultures, different ways of living.
I feel that, and speaking by experience, I feel that when you grow up in an impacted environment, there's such chaos around you, like there's a lot of lack of resources in your home, but there's also so much chaos around you that when you find, your neighbors, it's like they became your family, and everybody takes care of each other. I remember like growing up, and nobody had a babysitter growing up in where I grew up. And parents will leave. So whoever mom was a stay-home mom at the moment, she will watch out for the neighbor's kids. And they will go and play with her kids in her backyard. And so it was me probably playing with the neighbor across the street, or the one next door, or whatever, but whoever. And we all grew up like that. And we will play, you know what I mean? And I'm talking about kids. At the moment, I thought it was cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, wow, that is a very smart system, and that is a support system. You know what I mean? When something happened in that particular community. So the chaos was everywhere, but our street was always safe, and everybody was taking care of each other.
And that's why community is very important. So like when a circle back to when I said when I grew up was sort of area where there was a lot of crime and everything like that. But something we had was a very strong sense of community. So it's I don't know what you'd call it in the US, but maybe the project or something, but we call it like the council estate, basically. So it's like the local council owns buildings, and then they rent them out cheaply to families that qualify for it, and it's to do like income and that kind of thing. So
kind of low income living.
Yeah, so basically something like that, basically. But in those kind of areas, you usually get a lot of crime. But at the same time, you get a very, very strong sense of community.
Yeah.
There's like there's a community center around the corner. from where I lived that used to host all sorts of different community events. Like at the community center, do like karate classes, and people go have their parties there, and there's always stuff happening there. The community center. On my road where I grew up, we knew all the neighbors. Everybody knows each other by first name. Basically, everybody's talking with each other, looking out for each other, and little things. It'll be little things like, let's say we're going away, my mum, my brothers. My mum would tell the neighbors, we're going away. Look out for our house, that kind of thing. They'll be like, okay, yeah, we'll look out for you. And then if anything happens, I don't know, we'll look into it. We'll call you, blah, blah, blah. You can do things like, we'll go away. Maybe we're going away for a while now. Then my mum will give the car key to one of our neighbors and say, can you spark the car? Because you don't want the battery to go dead or something like that. Like, I've moved out of the area now. I wouldn't give my car key to my neighbor and say, can you turn my car on or whatever? Because you don't have that same level of community that I had growing up back then. So I thought community is very important. I think a lot of people won't have access to that sort of a community as well.
So how was it growing up in the UK? So you think that you will feel that you were supported in your community growing up in the UK, or will you feel that there were spaces that they were not the much joyful energy?
So I grew up in Leytonstone, East London. That particular place, I think it was good. I definitely had a strong sense of community, and I felt supported by the community. So that was very good. I didn't have too much exposure to outside of Leytonstone until I got to like college. Maybe I was like 16 going to college here. So before then, I mean, I'd been out, of course, but like I hadn't had loads of like proper exposure to outside of Leytonstone like that. When I went to college, I went to a college in Essex, which is now outside of London. So it was a bit far from my house. I went there. I just wanted to do something different, to be honest. And but there, it's a completely different demographic. So Leytonstone was very, very multicultural. Like, I guess you find that in a lot of low-income areas where it's very multicultural. So my school was very mixed. Like,
nice. So how often do you see people of color in your school? Like a lot?
Oh, loads. Yeah, loads. Predominantly, probably even.
Oh, nice.
The school was very mixed. So yeah, Black, Asian, all sorts of cultures. Asian. Then you got white English as well, but it was all sorts of different cultures. I really liked it. It was really cool. Like that, you get exposure to so many different cultures, and I think that's so important as well, because when we talk about things like racism and prejudice or whatnot, I think a lot of people think like that. They've never had any exposure to anyone else other than people who look like themselves. So anybody that looks like something different is automatically, whatever nonsense or lies they've been fed through the media or whatever, they've just seen or around or heard or whatever, they just believe it automatically. They've never interacted with a Black person or an Asian person or anything like that. So they just believe, oh, this person's the enemy, this person's this person's that, blah, blah, blah. But growing up where I grew up, we had people from all sorts of different cultures, all sorts of different backgrounds in my school.
I find it amazing.
It was really good. Yes.
So as far as history, and specifically, like, how much history as a Black Briton would you say you learn at school?
Not enough at all. Like in school, one thing, I'm not a fan of things like Black History Month. So in the US, I think you guys have it in February.
Yeah,
I think
in February.
So, yeah, we have
Black
it in
History
October. Yeah, we have it in October. In the UK, I don't know why. I think the whole world has it in February, and we have it in October. So I'm not too sure why that's happened. But and in the UK as well, I very strongly believe, I might be slightly wrong, but I believe that. So in the US, for example, and some other countries, Black History Month is a mandated sort of, it's an official month, where so in school, the schools will teach it as part of like the official curriculum. Whereas in the UK, Black History Month is not an officially recognized month. So if schools go and teach Black history, it's up to them basically. I don't think there's no set sort of agenda or set curriculum to teach children. So I'm not a fan of that, but I'm also just not a fan of Black History Month in general, really. I get it.
Can you elaborate a little more about that?
Yeah, I get it in merit. Like, cool, okay, we need to learn Black history, but I sort of feels now it just sort of others Black people, puts them in another category, and it's sort of like Black people haven't contributed anything to the history, or it's sort of like, because Black people have contributed to all British history from
Mhm. I
dawn,
think I
from
think I think blacks in general have contributed, like they have built the world. If you think about it.
yeah. So if that's the case, then why do we have like a 1 month for Black? It's just history. You know what I'm saying? It's literally just it's history. Just incorporate into
Oh,
normal history
so
curriculum.
you feel that by just talking about it 1 month is kind of like isolating the facts, and instead of generalizing it in the curriculum and talk about it all the time.
Yeah, I think by isolating it to 1 month, it sort of others them. It's like other Black people, put them into a category, give them a month just because it's the right thing to do or whatever. But I think it undermines Black people's contribution
I see your
to
point. So you see, like if we make it more normal and just talk about it, don't make it like it's something that it has to be done this month for this community, because blacks are part of the entire community, the entire country. It's like we're supposed to have it at the entire time, not just this specific date, just to
yeah,
honor that.
it's just history. Because we don't have any other history month. We don't have like White History Month or something like that
But you
because
know
we
what
just think that's
happened?
history.
You know what happened, Tevin? That I don't know if there is a shame. I honestly don't know, and I'm here to learn again. Everybody who's listening to me, I am in this journey to learn. And every day is it's a learning experience, and I will make mistakes, and I will probably come out saying things that it might rub people the wrong way, but just the intention behind it, just everybody knows that is in the best place. But I feel that there is a shame on sharing the atrocities that happen with the community, to the point that people try to forget. But that's my personal opinion. It's like people have tried throughout the years and centuries, and it's kind of like, yes, I acknowledge it happened, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't want to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
I know it happened. It was horrible. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's really hard. But are we really healing when we do that? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
As opposed to, this happened. So let's talk about it. So everybody know that it's happening. So it will never happen again. You know what I mean? Let's expose of these lesions living, these cancer cells live in our history. Let's expose them. So we know that they're there. So it will never happen, because as a community in general, we can allow this to happen ever
yeah.
again. And I will never be, oh my God, I will never will stop saying this. But I get it. And I feel that it should be brought up more in schools, but not in a surface way. It should be, uh, intensify and make sure that it's learned just the same way we learn about Christopher Colombo and
Yeah.
in the Americas and the Queen and the mess with the Italians and the wars and this and World War I and World War II, and we are so, you know what I mean, and the independence of this, and when we all of this, all of these days. So we should know too, like, when the most atrocious things happen, why they happened, where the resources came from, how we took this community, what happened to this, what happened to not only African Americans, in my case, or Africans in general, talking to somebody who's North American, Africa people, blacks in general. A lot of people don't like to use that word black. I was just the other day, me and my boyfriend, we were like sitting down at dinner, and we were just talking about it was breakfast actually, and we were just talking about something, and I was talking about a black bear, and a black bear attack, something like that, and I say black, and the lady looked at me, and it's like, why are we uncomfortable when we hear, right? It's so funny. But I feel that, yes, we need to know exactly what all of this happens to all of our Black folks around the world, so we don't allow this to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not in a sense of dwelling on something. It's in a sense of healing and acknowledge something, and not isolating an event, but you literally have to, like, almost, I mean, for you to heal and overcome that, you almost have to live it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Learn it and feel it so much that you live through it, that you don't ever allow it to happen again.
It's interesting when you talk about the people wanting to erase that part of history. So that's very sorry, that's very topical in the UK right now. So there's been a few things, like for example, I don't know if it would have spread overseas like that, but there was during the Black Lives Matter protests in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
there's a statue in a city called Bristol, which is sort of like in the west of England.
I think I know it got turned down or something like that.
Yeah. It got turned down. The backstory behind that is that apparently the residents, or just to even elaborate a bit, if people listening, they don't know what that was. So there was a statue of a man called Edward Colson in Bristol, and he was a slaver, basically. I don't know why his statue was up. I don't really understand the history behind it like that, but apparently people in Bristol had been campaigning for a long time to get that statue removed because of what he stood for. Um, you know, and then they were campaigning, trying to do it the peaceful way or the right way,
Mm-hmm.
etc. And nothing was happening. Then during the Black Lives Matter protests, some people came and tore it down and threw the statue in the river. Funny
Mm-hmm.
enough, it was the 4 people who got, and they went to court and everything like that, and they got found not guilty. The 4 people who got found not guilty were 4 white people, funny enough, actually. 4 white people took down the statue and threw the statue in the water. Now, that's an example of the UK, very generally speaking, that not trying to have that conversation about slavery or colonialism or anything like that. But it's been, how to put it, it's by the UK, trying to not have that conversation. It's been amplified even more because people want to talk about it. People at least want it to be acknowledged. When UK is trying to like, no, okay, or even just the Western world in general, like, no, we don't want to talk about it, blah, blah, etc. Let's just move on and forget about it. You got like British national heroes, like someone like Winston Churchill, who he's a massive British national hero and cool, whatever, and because he's won World War II for the UK, etc., whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he was a racist, like a staunch racist, and he said all sorts of crazy stuff. Again, that's the debate that I've heard people trying to have that debate. Black people, people of color, even white people, who are bringing up what he stood for and whether the UK should celebrate him because of what he stood for. But that kind of a conversation always gets shut down again. Oh no, back then I've heard all sorts of things.
A lot of folks claim, and this is just things that I hear and live here, through and this whole movement of Black Lives Matter that brought a lot of awareness of things that were just, probably we knew, but we didn't know how sensitive they were. And these statues came very popular back then. So some folks will say that, oh, it's part of our history, and some other folks will be like, yeah, but there's an idealizing something or somebody that was so cruel to a community. So I get it. And I have to, just it kind of like in the same line, but with a different connotation. I will have to mention when I first moved here to the United States, I am from, just to let you know, I'm from Cartagena, Colombia. And for those who don't know, that was the #1 port of slaves in the Americas, So they would go and whoever survived in the South, South America, it will brought to Cartagena. They will cleaned, and sold there to other ports. So I live in the Caribbean. So we had a lot of gold and we have a lot of, slaves trade over there. And we also have a lot of pirates coming, attacking our city. We actually end up building a wall to protect from pirates' attacks. So one of those pirates was Sir Francis Drake. He was, I'm sure you hear about him. He was a savage. He was a cruel, savage human. It was awful. And big surprise of my world. Everybody knew that he was a complete savage. Like, he's like patronizing somebody who's just like, ooh. So big surprise. many years later, here I am driving in California, and I look at the exit, and it's like Sir Francis Drake exit, and like, what is going on here in America?
Wow.
What happened? No, it gets better. So I'm in a very good, well-off community in California, just driving around, and I look to the side, Sir Francis Drake School.
Wow.
And my stomach sunk, and I'm like, what? Like, where am I right now? In what world am I? So eventually the exit still exists, but the school eventually throughout the years, the name got changed, because I think that the same thing that I was thinking, other parents were thinking or realized at the moment. And now the school, I don't even know what is the name of the school now, but going back to the same thing, it's like, why are we idealizing people, events that happen with people with such horrible intentions? Like, aren't we supposed to be looking after the things that makes us better, that, people that actually did amazing things and grew from that, you know what I mean? And acknowledge those people. Yes, we have to acknowledge, going back to, yes, it was done. We have to acknowledge, but I wouldn't, it's like me having a huge, I completely against racism and everything, all barbarians done in that name. It's like me having a huge statue of Hitler in my living room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Isn't that odd? That's
Yeah.
the way I kind of look at it. And I think we need to find a common ground where we can acknowledge history, but also acknowledge what was done and learn from that, but also idealize the good people that came here to save or to do something good, and acknowledge those who didn't, but don't idealize them. We don't need to, have them standing out in the middle of our living room.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a thing that, and a lot of people are, against it, but we're here to live and to learn, and maybe our upcoming generations are going to see and are going to do much better, because if as the years are continue to progress, we see that things have changed. Now we are able to be hanging out with all together. Now we have interracial couples. Now we have interracial communities, everybody living in one space, and now we don't have labeled bathrooms or sit in the back of the bus because you're Black.
Yeah.
Or just stay outside of my house because you're Hispanic, so you have to be over there in the back. You can enter through the door, you have to enter to the back. We have come a long way, and I'm hopeful that you can improve and make each other better every day. So now, going back to 1,000 Black voices. So, as a person who works in the field of finance, because yes, ladies and gentlemen, he works in finance, completely different. So it's like me, I work in behavior, and here I am. You know what I mean? It's like you never know where you're gonna end up. So, as a person who works in the field of finance, what brought you to the world of podcasting?
So, okay, that's a good question. Because it does seem like there's no link. But to answer that, I have to take it back a little bit and explain a bit about myself and what I've always seen myself doing.
Yes, please.
So, throughout my life growing up, I wanted, when I'm trying to figure out what I want to do career-wise, it's always been that I wanted to do something that's had a positive impact on some other people in some way, shape, or form. When it comes to Black people, my I've always, obviously been interested in, because I can see, I live in where area I've grown up in, and I can literally just see what it's like and how things can be improved. And on top of that, when I read about some of these historical figures and some of the amazing things that they've done in their times, like the common examples would be like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, etc. And you read them, you get inspired, and they're like, wow, okay, so I can see what's happening in my area. I read about some people who have done some amazing things, and I've realized, okay, I want to do something like that myself and have a positive impact. I originally thought I wanted to be a doctor. I feel that I was so encouraged. My parents pushed me that way, and I just convinced myself that's what I want to do.
You don't get
But
scared with blood, and you're not gonna pass out if somebody shows a needle at you.
I don't even like blood, so I don't even know what I was thinking. But, but that's what I thought I wanted to do. But again, I wanted to do it because I felt like, okay, I'm going to make a positive impact doing that.
Yes.
But then I went and done some work experience in a GP. Again, I don't even know what you call it in the US, GP. I don't know if you call it the same thing. But it's like the little community health center sort of thing.
No, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know. Well, I only been here for 16 years, so you have a lot to learn.
Cool. Well, maybe it's a British thing. I don't know. But the GP, so it's called general practitioner, sort of like a community health center. So
Your first studies. It's like
no,
your bachelor's, like your first.
I've done work experience there. So
Oh,
this was
okay.
just like 2 weeks of work experience, and then after that, I just decided. After that, I decided, okay, I don't want to do medicine anymore because it's just not for me. And my thinking is much more expansive in the terms of, I know in medicine you can do what you got to do, but you can help one person at a time. But I'm more expansive. I want to be able to impact as many people as possible in the best possible way. So I've left that, and then I've decided, okay, I want to become an entrepreneur. So I started up a business back in 2014, ran it just for 2 years. And that was a men's fashion retailer selling ethically made fashion from independent designers. So the idea behind that again was, okay, we're going to promote ethically
Are you
made.
targeting only Black designers, or you expanding to everybody who's welcome to bring an idea?
That one, anyone that wanted to do it. So we had 10 designers. By the time we closed, it's all independent designers. So there's, first of all, people who weren't able to, they're independent, they're not able to get into the big stores or whatnot, but they've got cool, unique designs. We're going to help you get a break. So we'll sell your stuff on our website. It had to be ethically made, so nobody's been exploited in the manufacturing of the clothing. And the idea behind that was to move the manufacturing, to start up our own label as well, and then move the manufacturing to Africa. So that's what I was thinking. Okay, that's how we're going to positively impact things. But I was young.
You will bring those jobs there, and then So you will help. Yeah, that's actually great. So you will help the community that you will grow up in, the community that you are, ethnically linked to.
Yeah. I mean, that was the idea. But it was more, I was young and it was more difficult than I thought. So, so that business closed after a couple of years, but I learned a hell of a lot from that. So after that, I'm still wanting to do something that, okay, I'm going to start do a positive impact of some sort. But then, I need the job. So just sort of got into, basically I went back to uni, done a master's, got into finance. So I'm working in finance now. But along the way, so I've just had this idea, because where 1,000 Voices came from now was the fact that I felt that media representation of Black people, first of all, was not great. I didn't think it was very good in the UK specifically. So an example is one of my younger brothers. He went to this place. It's a very rural sort of countryside place called Cornwall in the UK. It's like in the southwest of the UK, well outside of London. So he went there years ago, and there's a bunch of boys, all white boys. They were scared of him and his friends because they originally thought that they were gangsters.
Wow.
And then later on they came out and said, "Oh, we thought you guys were in gang, blah 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 blah."
Wow.
Now my thinking is that
based on the color of one's skin. Wow.
Literally, because why else would you think that? Like they've never met any other Black people around there. Why was that
on the color of one's skin? Somebody can be scared of you based on the color of your skin. How crazy is that to sound, right?
No, for real.
It's like it's like somebody judging me because I have different color hair. Wow.
And it's like, what have you been listening to? What have you been watching? Why would you even think that if you've never even met a Black person in your whole life?
How did he feel?
I don't know. I think he sort of just took it on the chin, but like it's sort of to be expected in a way.
You know that you said that you just said right there. He just took it in the chin, and that's exactly what minorities and everybody that have encountered these type of energies have taken. Like I'm gonna take it in the chin. I'm just gonna let it pass by. Isn't that okay?
Yeah,
Is that
well, it's
okay?
not good. It's not good. It's, I guess it's just sort of the way people have been conditioned to do this stuff. I can't speak for
We
everyone.
need to, yeah, we
But,
need to educate. I
but
think it's our duty when we encounter this in a most elegant way, because I am completely against violence
mm,
and rudeness. But I think that we can put ourselves in the most elegant way, and we should educate people. We should
yeah,
educate. Like, you shouldn't be afraid of me because I speak different than you.
we should definitely educate people. I think education is very, very key. In fact,
Yeah.
and that's something I wanted to do. Well, that's sort of in a way some of the thinking around 1,000 Voices was like, first things first, I want to be able to put out some positive voices out there, positive Black British people who are successful in doing whatever they're doing across a diverse spectrum of different industries, to let people know that not all Black people are gangsters, not all Black people this, not all Black people that. We come in all different shapes and forms and sizes, and at the end of the day we're human beings like everybody else. There's no need for you to be scared or cross the road or think whatever when you see or hear a Black person. So that's one of my thinkings. I want to just promote that positivity. I feel like in the media, very generally speaking, this is way too negative anyways. There's not enough positive representation. When we see Black people on screen, we see them in a few narrowly defined sort of industry, like you see, music and sports, and some representation maybe here and there, but it isn't enough positive representation. And I wanted to do something to challenge that and to change that. So highlight some positive people who are doing whatever they're doing in whatever industry they're in, and just let them share their stories. So that was one part of my thinking.
So that's what brought you to podcast, and just being aware and catching as much as ears and as much minds possible. So that's what brought you to podcasting. So would you say that what in terms of motivation, do you think that the urge of your community, of the seeing what you were seeing and experience, I'm sure experiences, no pleasant experience, having no pleasant experience, do you think that motivated 1,000 Voices?
I think definitely my own experience has definitely played a part in 1,000 Voices. Yeah, I've had all sorts of experiences. I mean, like, so where I grew up, it was multicultural.
Mm-hmm.
When I've stepped outside of my area and gone to college, for example, in Essex, which is outside London,
Mm-hmm.
I've had, I've had it all. Like, I've had my first week in college, I've had racial slurs shouted at me. I felt very uncomfortable. When you just walk onto buses and you're the only Black person in the bus, and then you kind of feel everybody stops and is looking at you, and you just feel really uncomfortable. I've even spoken with other white people, and they've told me openly, nothing from them, but they've told me their parents or their grandparents are racist and don't like Black people. And this is what I'm hearing literally from other people who are my age in school, which is nuts. I've been to other cities in the UK. I went to a city called Portsmouth, again, this outside London. And then I'm walking down the road and I'm hearing someone shout monkey or something, monkey. And I look back and then they're running away again. It's never to my face because people are
Wow.
usually very cowardly. But you hear all this kind of stuff, you experience all this kind of stuff. And on one hand, you get angry, and rightly so, because that's crazy ignorance. And what gives someone the right to do that? I don't go around doing that to anybody else, and it's not nice to feel like that, or to have things shouted at you
I
and
mean,
that
just
kind of
just
thing.
the amount of closeness and ignorance. So when somebody like shot at me, it's so funny because you say monkey, because I love bananas. So there is an inside joke for me, and then somebody called me little monkey because I love bananas. It's I find it cute, but can you just imagine a sense of offending somebody? Just think. I mean, when I hear this, it's like, how sad that you have to throw a slur like that. Like, that tells me that you haven't lived that little community that you grew up with, and you're so sheltered and so closed off that you have not seen that there is a huge world out there. Like, have
Yeah.
you ever been into an airport? Like,
Yeah.
ever? That, I mean, when somebody says something like that, I'm like, how uncultured is that? How sad is that? That you haven't had the opportunity to experience the world as it is, the real world, that you get so triggered by the color of my skin, by the thickness of my nose, by the voluptuous of my lips, by the texture of my hair. Something so silly like that tells me right there that you have you stepped on the airport before, honey? That's the first thing that I think. Like, how sad. Because when you are super sheltered and you haven't seen anything other than everybody looking the same, you know, it's like me,
Yeah.
everybody looking the same, everybody looking the same, everybody talking
Yeah.
the same. So that it's like a culture. It's like when I remember myself being in Tiananmen Square in China, and um, you know, from the minute that I just put foot in China, it was just like everybody like taking pictures and taking pictures and taking pictures and looking at you and staring at you. People are even daring to touch my hair or touch me, and I am not even, you know,
Yeah.
I'm Hispanic, but I am from a different community, so I'm dark. You know what I mean? So it's like people are just looking at me. And I remember being in Tiananmen Square, and then this a small lady, because they're super small and I'm tall, I'm 5'9". So this is a small little lady, and she's like taking pictures and selfies. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so I looked at her and I yelled at her. It's like, leave me alone. This is so rude. Like, give me my space.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was so irritated for me. And then the tour guy shook her out. And then he explained to me, he said, I'm so sorry, Tootie, but these people are here also because we were in a huge tourist place to visit. So these people are here from the rural areas visiting also, and they've never seen people like this. So then I was just like, whoa, okay, still annoying, but at least I understand. So it's not that they are trying to be rude, they're just being ignorant. And sometimes ignorance can be bliss, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I see these type of behaviors, when somebody throws the N word, or somebody, you know, throws a banana, when you see in the soccer field, sometimes in those European, I like soccer, so in these European tournaments, you know, somebody throws a banana at a player, or says such a, you know, lame seem to say, like, you know, slur like monkey, you know what I mean? I go back to, I feel sorry for you. You're on culture. You haven't have
Mm-hmm.
exposure. Are you
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Like, we can open a GoFund page for you, and then just
Mm.
put you in a plane and let you enjoy the
Yeah.
world, so you can you can change the vision. You can see actually what's going on. Very
You know,
sad, and I'm
I.
so sorry that
Yeah.
you felt that, and and it's also very threatening, you know, because
Yeah.
when somebody is fearful of you, you know, they go into defense mechanism for reasons. I don't know why they have to defend, you know, defend themselves from you, but that's the part that it scares me, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because when
But
somebody don't know something, they tend to attack it.
yeah. 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 You know, and just to add on actually, so when we talk on the ignorance side of things, definitely ignorance definitely plays a part in any kind of prejudice or racism. But I feel that you get to a certain stage now, because I think when you're young, cool, whatever, you get to a certain stage, and maybe culture plays a part in it, but you can't there's no way, shape or form there's ever a right to go and infringe on someone's space and touch their body or touch their hair, whatever. It's not for you to touch. They haven't given you permission.
Yeah.
And it gets to a stage now where it's like, ignorance is bliss when you're a child, cool. When you're an adult now, I think that people purposely choose to be ignorant, maybe because they don't care enough to look into something, or to
Lack of compassion and
lack
empathy.
a massive lack of compassion and empathy. Because I might not understand someone else's culture, and I could be ignorant to it. It doesn't mean I'm gonna go and, I don't know, do something stupid and shout out some kind of slur or whatever. That's it goes past ignorance now. It just, you're not even a nice person. There's, and I think so. Ignorance is bliss to a degree. I don't think um, people should be allowed to get away with massively overt forms of racism as well. It's not fair on a person that's experiencing it. Because some people, it's like constant attack, constant trauma, always being attacked, always feeling like you're being stigmatized or whatever because of the color of your skin, and it sounds so crazy. And it's not fair. So we can't now have the perpetrator or the attacker and be like, oh no, they're ignorant. It's okay because they were ignorant. But then the person that's suffering from it is having to suffer from that over and over and over again. But then we say, no, they were ignorant, so it's okay. But I don't think that's fair. So whoever, I think, yeah, if you're doing whatever you're doing and being racist, being prejudiced, you have to suffer some sort of a consequence. I do also believe they have to give room for people to grow, so they can say whatever consequences. I don't know. Let's say it's in a workplace, for example, you lose your job, okay, but you give people room to grow because people evolve and grow over time. So they can suffer the immediate consequence, help the person that's been attacked or abused, and then educate that person so that over time they don't go around doing the same thing over and over and over again. And also, I think racism is a learned behavior anyways. If we look at children are like the purest, most lovely form of humans. We come out and we're just happy all the time. Children are happy. They want to make friends with everybody. They wear their heart on their sleeve. They tell you what they think, what they feel, everything like that. They're so pure, and kids don't look at other kids and be, oh, that kid's another color to me. They don't care. It doesn't even register.
Don't care. It doesn't. They just want to play.
That's it. And then over time, you have that same child now can be like the most lovely child ever. And then 20, 30 years later, they're like a racist. What's happened in between? They've learned that behavior from somewhere. Is it from family, from their society, from friends, from TV, from what? They've learned it somewhere along the line. And we've got to cut that out.
They grew up with. It's very sad. It's very, very sad that we're being conditioned to such a horrible behavior. It's super sad, and it's up to us. I think it's our job as the generation standing, not the one that we left behind. That generation, I'm sorry, baby boomers, or after that, before that, you know what I mean? But you guys, you know what I mean, are questionable in some of their choices. I'm just saying. So I think is up to the generation standing and the ones ahead to realize. And I think I have a lot of faith that things are improve more and more and more and continue to improve. Like I hate when people say like, we have made such a long way, because if we are sincere into ourselves, that we shouldn't make a wrong. We shouldn't have made a long way. We should have been doing the right thing from the get-go. You know what I mean? But I'll take it. I'll take it. And I will, think positive and just say that we have to take care of the damage, the victims, and we also the perpetrators, educate them, expose them, let them live. And I feel that, I feel that it should be penalized. I mean, I honestly feel that racism, it should be penalized in a way that it hurts, in a way that allows you to not do it again. For example, if you go to the stove, you put your hand in the burner, you're gonna get burned. But what are you learning? You're learning not to do it again because it hurts, right? So I think that should be penalized, and I think that the best way to do it would be like exposing. You know what I mean? You need to work for these communities now. You need to, you need to work, and you need to rub yourself in with the ones that you have been attacking. So you can understand, and you can realize the humanity behind it. I think, when you make people aware of something, it's the only way that they can learn. You know what I mean? But, we have to get our leaders together and, and in sync. And I think there's a lot also. I feel that there's a lot that plays along the way for our leaders. I think the concept of everybody being in peace and happy is not profitable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel that just there's a lot of moving pieces to that. But I feel that we have some hope. Hopefully, we have some hope. So continue talking about a thousand voices. So you could pick 50 or 100. Why did you choose to decide to talk to 1,000 voices?
So I went for 1,000. I just wanted a number that sounded aspirational, because you can pick like a 50, you can do 100, 200, and cool. But with the 1,000, the I guess the first thing I felt that people might ask, and I can't remember if anybody asked me directly, but is there 1,000 Black successful Britons that you can talk to? Is there? So my thing is, oh, let's find out.
I
Let's
think there's way more than that.
let's go and do it. But I think it's more of an impactful number than like a
Yes.
50 or 100 or something like that. And I think as well, as we're on the journey towards 1,000 and we're getting closer and closer to that 1,000, it's going to take a while, of course, but as we're getting closer to the number, it even that in of itself is inspiring, because people will be like, wow, I didn't know that there were 500, 600, 700 successful Black people, and across so many different industries, not just in sports or music, but in, I don't know, science or whatever, any kind of obscure field. So I just felt the number in of itself was quite aspirational and wanted to go for that.
It's so fun that you say 1,000 Black Britons and entrepreneurs, because I have this idea of the preconceived idea of Hispanics. It's like they the immigrants were here in the U.S. It's like the immigrants, they are undocumented. Is the lady that cleans my house. Is the lady that he's the guy that does my my garden. But people are unaware, or the power and that there is behind a whole entire community. And yes, I always have this idea of actually putting and exposing all of that Hispanics are not all undocumented, that they are not all cleaning the houses and cleaning the yard. So I thought that was cool. So you want to bring light, a positive light, to a community that is uh, doesn't have the best exposure experiences around the world. It's so unfortunately. So what is your perception of Black Britons in the UK?
Ooh, that's a how do I answer that? The perception of Black Britons. It's I feel that I feel Black Britons, where first and foremost we're normal people. We're not necessarily like a separate other sort of group of people, but we are a group of people that are disadvantaged in quite a few ways. So whether that's, well, economically, I suppose the major one, but disadvantaged in a number of different ways. Like if we're looking at stats in the UK, from prison incarceration rates to arrest rates to stop and search rates to school exclusions to I don't know, all sorts of things economically. So all sorts of things disadvantaged in quite a few different ways, which makes it more difficult for the majority of Black Britons against their peers moving forward, because it's not like we start on the same level playing field. And I've felt some of these disadvantages on a personal level. I know quite a few people personally, where I grew up, when you feel these things. I mean, there were stages where I was getting stopped by police every day without fail whenever I go out, for all sorts of random stuff, just because they assume I've done something, or sometimes nothing's even been done. They're just stopping us and then frisking us up against the wall and that kind of thing. And then,
Wow.
And that the growing up like that, it leads to like a massive sense of distrust between the Black community, or people who have grown up like that, and authority.
You feel
Whether that's
isolated.
police, yeah, whether it's authority, whether it's police, whether it's teachers and education or whatever, because it's like authority don't trust or treat us like humans, basically. They don't treat us the way that they'll treat other people, other groups. So I think that Black Britons, and obviously it's a generalization, everyone has their own experience, but very generally speaking, are a disadvantaged people, but a very positive people, a resilient people. And when I say resilient, I'm not always a major fan of the word, because I don't like it in a sense where it's like, suffer, but keep pushing on and pushing on, because I don't think that's right. But resilient in a sense, but that people have lived how they've lived and gone through whatever they've gone through, had all sorts of disadvantages now and historically, but still continue to rise and succeed in whatever we're doing. And I've been speaking with some people out on the podcast who, some of them have had very crazy personal circumstances on top of societal circumstances, which would make it difficult, very crazy personal circumstances, but I've still managed to overcome and succeed. Like people who have been kicked out of schools and are now going into schools to teach them how to teach their students. For example, people who have been abused and are now doing going out and inspiring thousands and thousands of other people with their work and through their story. So I think that we're very positive and happy, very positive people, resilient people, and we rise above challenges and disadvantages that we have.
Now that you're talking about that, I have this question. It's a little deep. It's gonna get a little deep over here.
Okay.
Okay. One of your missions I saw was to cultivate more Black Britons entrepreneurs. Could you elaborate on why you feel that is so important, entrepreneurship within the Black community?
I think entrepreneurship is so I decided I wanted to become an entrepreneur when I was 18 years old. So I read Richard Branson, if you know him, the entrepreneur. He's a British entrepreneur. I read his autobiography, and that's when I decided, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, and I think I want to be an entrepreneur. And I feel entrepreneur is one, can lead to massive wealth creation, and two, is literally a ticket to freedom. And that's how I look at entrepreneurship. You live life in your own terms. You do things and grow and create and do things how you want to do it. And when we're talking about wealth creation, so in the UK, I can't remember the stats off the top of my head, but it's the same all over the world anyways, in terms of wealth gaps and inequalities between Black Britons, or even Black Britons, working class Britons, and white Britons, basically. Massive wealth gap. So what are the numbers like? I think I've forgotten them, but like it'll be like the average Black African or Black Caribbean family would own or have wealth of, let's say, I don't know, 5K or something like that. The average white family in the UK will have like 200K, something random like that. Like it's a massive wealth gap. And with these massive wealth gaps, it leads to knock-on effects now, because now Black people growing up in the UK, a lot of people, Black people in the UK might be first or second generation, a lot of them, and a lot of us. And what happens is that, okay, we come, we work, we get jobs and everything like that, we generate some money, but then now we have to look after our parents, because our parents, and through no fault of their own, a lot of them come over to make a better life, but they don't have that wealth sort of blanket to fall back on like some of our peers would. So we have to give to our parents, and then it's like a cycle now, because we're getting better, I guess, but we're not increasing our money or increasing our wealth at the same rate other communities who don't have to worry about that kind of thing are. And it just leads to widening wealth gaps, which isn't good. And I felt that entrepreneurship is a way to close those gaps. So instead of working the same 9 to 5s, instead of working the same 9 to 5s and earning the same paychecks or whatever, why don't we go out and create our own businesses? And on top of that, so I think it's a massive way in which we can reduce wealth gaps. And on top of that, I feel that we literally just need more Black representation across all sorts of different industries. So like there was a period where I used to have long hair, not even that long, but a few years ago I had locks. I've cut them now, as you can see.
You have a very nice haircut. I would have never imagined that you had long hair before.
Yeah, I did a few years ago. when I had the locks, what I was always trying to do was to shop from black-owned businesses to get like hair products and that, but it was difficult. Just because I mean there was some online, but I wanted to go to the physical store just to talk to people and find out what works for you and that kind of thing. I was new to the game. I didn't know. I wanted to go to the shop, but it was difficult to find shops like that. There wasn't enough. There was one I used to go to, but it was a bit of a far drive away to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just that one example. I don't feel like we have enough representation across all sorts of different industries where people who look like us and sound like us and come from same sort of areas that we've grown up in um, own enough of these sorts of institutions that we can walk into and feel at home and shopping basically. There's all these sorts of stats where again, I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but all these stats where in, let's say, the white community, a pound circles X amount of times, if Asian communities in the UK anyway, I think it was like 17, 18 times. I think Indian community, I might be wrong, but 17, 18 times that they're spending in their own shop and they circulate that wealth within their own communities. Whereas with black communities, essentially it just comes in and comes out. It doesn't circulate whatsoever. But I think a big part of that is because there isn't enough black businesses out there for us to even go to shopping. So I have to move my hair.
Yeah, for our needs. I totally get it. Like I have dark skin for instance, you know what I mean? And dark skin tends to get really dry, right? So the moisturizer that I use is completely different than the moisturizer that like a fair person will use, right? Like the skin, your lotion is completely different. I noticed that it's really challenging for me. So I usually have to buy like online or, these, particular stores to get it because it's not out there on the regular public. So I totally get it. And when it comes to like, the other day I was talking to a friend. He's Asian, have a very straight hair and it just grows completely different. So not everybody knows how to cut their hair. So I was just like, how you have such a nice haircut? Do you went to this place? It's like, no, I go to this lady, she's Asian too, and she's the only one who knows how to cut his hair. So, little things like that, I totally get it because there's not enough when it comes to culture and there's not enough. So it's a good thing that we are focusing and just bringing more aware of, and that is going back to, taking care of the whole world, right? The whole world have this different texture of skin, different texture of hair, a different eye, so different makeup. That's the way as the world looks. So we have to attend to the world. I totally get it. I'm trying to make sense out of this, Tevin. I hear you, boy. I hear you. So what have you learned about yourself doing this podcast?
What have I learned?
About yourself.
I've learned that. So I've learned how much of a perfectionist I am, and how that's led me to procrastinate a massive lot, which it really dawned on me more recently. So the podcast is something I've had the idea for a long time, to be honest, and I just kept putting it off. I was like, oh, I need to get this equipment now, I need to do this, and then I need to practice this, and I just kept making excuses. And then I don't know, something just clicked to me. I said, okay, I'm just going to do it anyways. But I think what it was that I just realized over time that this sort of, I was trying to be perfectionist, but it was causing me to procrastinate because essentially I was just scared of failing. I was scared of putting out something out there that wasn't good, and I didn't want people to look at me.
But going back to failing, how do we learn?
Well,
Tevin, how do we learn?
We learn through our failures. We don't.
There you go.
We learn through our victory. But it's, it's easy to say. It just, when you put yourself out this way publicly, you don't want to.
It's the thing, it's the whole, the way I look at it. It's like, there's no learning if you were not failing. Only when you fail, and you fail hard, when you truly fail hard, it's when you truly learned. You perfection your craft. you perfect
Yeah.
your approach. You lift at your feet. You don't hit yourself back with the same stone. You know that, and then you
Yeah.
learned, and you turn that failure into an amazing product, and a perfect product, because you take the time to learn from that. You revise the strategy, and you're like, you know what, I need to do some tweaks here and there. But
Yeah.
if we stay in our minds, we became jailed and trapped. We became slaves of our head. And in behavior, I have this thing with, and I use it a lot with my Tourette's clients. And my saying is like, I control my mind. I control my mind. And I control my body. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is kind of like in a positive way of saying, like, you will do what you put yourself, what you put in yourself. You control your space by controlling your thoughts, by controlling how you operate. And I feeling that you're gonna fail is it's challenging.
Yeah.
But it's also I feel personally, please don't take this wrong, but I feel it also comes because I done it too. But I feel that when I have done it, it's like it comes from a place of my ego. Like, I don't want to look weak to other people. Like, I don't want to look untalented. I don't want to look overachiever, Is no from a place of humble, of like, me looking back, my first podcast, oh my God, it was a disaster. Me looking back, and I air it, Kevin. Tevin, oh my God, I'm sorry. My co-host is Kevin, so, and I miss him. So yeah, so but I learned from it, the way you approach your semantics, your vocalization, and so and so and so. So failing is good. It hurts, it humbles you all, but the outcome product of that is much better. It's much, much better. So after you do 1,000 voices, what else do you want to do after you speak with 1,000 written?
Oh, after that, like I'm open. I mean, it's still going to be a while away before we get there. So, I mean,
How
there's a
many
lot of
people
things I
have you
want to do.
talked so far?
So far, we've put out 7 episodes.
Okay.
We've got a few, I don't know, right now we've probably got another 10 that haven't released yet. So quite a lot to go.
You have a journey. You have a journey. Are you
Yeah.
single? Are you dating? Because Tell Us with Tootie will dig everywhere. Are you single? Are you dating? Are you married? What's going on with you, Tevin?
I'm married, quite newly married actually. I got married in October.
Congratulations!
Yeah. So you see it there.
Oh, nice.
Newly married. But we were seeing each other for when did we start seeing each other? Since 20. Depends when you count from, because we've got
so young. Oh my God, married at 29, so young. Well, who says? Like, I got married really early too, and I'm divorced.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I was married for 15 years.
Wow. Okay, I mean, you don't look that old.
Well, there's a lot of retinol in here. The retinol does wonders in people, I guess.
Right.
No, I just turned 39.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I married young, but yeah, congratulations. How cool.
Thank you.
Do you do like, do you guys went to like, do you do something for the trip that you go like, God.
The honeymoon.
The honeymoon, yes.
You know what? Actually, we're going on the honeymoon 2 months' time. We got married and we couldn't go. It's just difficult to travel and plan with COVID and everything back then. So we just done the wedding and we went away in the UK to like this spa break place. But we're going away actually to St. Lucia in a couple of months. So that's
nice.
like going to be the proper honeymoon.
God.
Yeah,
St. Lucia, super amazing. I love, like water and islands. It's just, it's me. Like, oh my God. Like, I grew up in the Caribbean. Like, I'll be damned if I don't, right? So why marry so early? Well, I wouldn't say why, because that's like, like But compared to here, like guys here in America, like if you go, I live in the Bay Area. I don't know if you have been in the Bay Area. Have you heard about the Bay Area?
I've heard about it.
Have you heard about the Silicon Valley, boy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, it's a challenge. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I live in the Bay Area, so there's no way that you will find a 29-year-old guy married. I mean, there's no way. Maybe if it's like, the South, probably the South part of the country, maybe the Midwest.
Yeah.
But there's no way. Is it common over there for people to get married? Like guys get married soon, or it's just something that happens?
Not really, to be honest. I feel like most of my friends, most of my close friends anyway, out of my close friends, I'm the first one to get married.
Oh, nice. Look at you.
So not
a pioneer.
I guess so. So it's probably the same here as it is over there in the US. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's just in Colombia it's completely different because guys get married super early.
Yeah.
And over here the concept is like, the way what I have seen so far and based on my own experience too, is like they want to achieve as much comfort, I would say, as possible.
Yeah.
As much resources, as much stability, and then, settle down. But the thing what I see is like how much is how much? Like how much is enough, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because in Colombia we live with less, way less. And then people are really good at, finishing whatever they're doing at the same time. It's like, I guess it's a lot, but they're doing it and they're super successful about it. And they raise their kids and they get married early and they finish their PhD and everybody's a professional and so and so and so. But here, the concept of America, like Metropolis America, I will say so, because it's not the same in the South, or it's not the same in the small little communities. But Metropolis America, you know what I mean? I will say that they are very focused in earning as much possible. But I look at this, these individuals, and I'm like, but how much is enough? You know what I mean? For you to feel comfortable, because you're not looking bad at all, but you still feel insecure of engaging in a different lifestyle. But each to their own, and everybody's in their own journey, and it's all nice and cool. So congratulations, Tevin, on your marriage, and I wish you nothing but amazing things and as many kids as you guys want. Just remember that you have to clean after them for the first 15 years of their life. So you do whatever you want with that information that I just gave you. I have one daughter. I've learned.
Cool. But I'll keep that in mind.
This is so amazing. Just to wrap up this interview with you, Tevin, is amazing. Thank you for joining us in Tell with Tutti, for sharing your experience, for sharing your energy, for enlightening us with everything that is going on, for educating me, and I love it. And thank you so much, and I hope I'll see you soon. And I would love to keep in contact and see how things are going. And
definitely,
you are welcome to San Francisco in Colombia anytime, Tevin.
Oh, definitely. If I'm ever in San Francisco, I'll hit you up for sure.
Yes. And, oh my God, I would love to take you guys out and show you around, and it's super fun. It's super fun. I love the Bay Area. It's just. It's a really cool place. Not for dating. Well, I am out of the pool and thank God, but it's definitely challenging. But thank you so much for joining us, and thank you everybody who are listening to Tell Up with Tutti. This was an episode that I enjoyed very much. I think, I have things like, but I think it's very important for us to bring awareness to everything that is going on and enable for us to heal. We have to acknowledge, and we have to look forward and learn from our mistakes, and exposed all the, the errors I've done throughout the past, so we don't allow it to happen again. So I love you, everybody. Thank you for listening, and remember that you can find us in all mainstream podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, everywhere. And just look for Tell with Tutti and you're gonna see me smiling. Have an amazing time, guys. Thank you so much, Tevin, and I wish you nothing but the very, very best in your journey.
Thank you very much, Tutti. Thank you very much for having me on. I really enjoyed myself this evening, or today. Thank you so much.
I know, my morning and your evening.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tevin. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.